All right, Bill, you ready to watch Rocky II?
Rocky what now?
Yeah, the sequel to Rocky, Rocky II.
Ay, ay, ay.
No, that's the next one. Welcome back to the Out of Touch podcast. I'm Chris. That's Bill, and today we are watching Rocky II.
Oh, now you believe it. Now you believe it.
Wow. So angry. Whatever. We're watching Rocky II from 1979, directed by Sylvester Stallone, apparently.
Yeah, he's the first one he directed. He directed 3, 4, Balboa.
Wow. So, Bill, what do you think of Rocky II?
This is definitely one of the better Rocky movies.
I like this one a lot. In fact, it's weird because, I think I have seen this one before, but it kind of surprised me as watching it, like how it literally picks off exactly where the last one left off.
Oh yeah.
It's almost just 100% you could watch the first one and then just immediately cut out the credits and then just have this one start.
Yeah, you definitely could.
Yeah.
You could definitely have just a long 4-hour movie.
Yeah.
It is very much an immediate sequel. It's very much, it's well, what happens next? It's not we skip a few years later, where's Rocky at now? It's no, this is what happens next, right after the fight.
Yeah. It's very cool. It's a really good follow-up to Rocky. I'm surprised how good it is because, I don't really hear people talk too much about Rocky 2. I always hear, Rocky and then, Rocky 4. But then, you never really hear too much talking for, 2 and 3 in between those two.
You hear a lot about 3, more so than 2. Because, I get the Mr. T stuff and Eye of the Tiger and all that.
Right.
I think Rocky 2 gets overlooked sometimes because on the surface, it looks like the classic, we're just doing the same thing again because he's fighting Apollo again. But the story is completely different from the first Rocky movie. Yeah, you reach the point where we're gonna fly now, he runs up the steps and all that, and he fights Apollo. But everything before that is completely different from the first movie.
Yeah. It's really good. From the beginning, we get, a recap of the fight they had, and then we get the scene when they're in the hospital being, interviewed by all the reporters.
Yeah.
I like how, Apollo is immediately, salty about, he won, but it was, not, he didn't definitively win.
Yeah.
And he already is,
He's already changed his mind.
Hey, yo, Apollo, you said there weren't gonna be no rematch.
Look, chump, any place, any time.
Yeah, he's, almost combating, all the people that are going to criticize him immediately. And even Rocky, he has, such a good attitude through the whole movie. He even says to him, at the beginning, he's dude, you have nothing to prove. You're great. But Apollo just can't let it go.
It's you won, Apollo.
Yeah.
But as he says,
Man, I won, but I didn't beat him.
Yeah, that's true.
well, we see Rocky and Adrian's relationship continue where we left off. He proposes, they get married, they have a kid.
I like the way he proposes to Adrian, where he's just hey, you want to, I don't know, do something with me for the next, 40 or 50 years? And I'm oh, yeah, that's a good moment.
Yeah, it's funny. It's nice he tells that story to Adonis in Creed 2.
Yeah.
He even mentions the tiger with the snow on its back.
Yeah.
It was a nice moment. And we also get, Rocky, he's this poor, he grew up poor, but then all of a sudden he's got this, ton of money, and he thinks, oh, I'm going to do commercials. I'll make more money doing that. And he just blows through all his money. And he fails at doing commercials.
Yeah. They kind of bring up, he's not, the best at, reading. He can read, but, he's got, trouble when he's reading the cue cards. The director of the commercial is, real, I don't know, asshole in a way where it's just dude, you're directing perfume commercials. Why do you have, such a chip on your shoulder?
Seriously. This is the first boneheaded athlete to do a commercial? Bull crap.
Yeah.
It's all right, he's not great at speaking. We just give him a handful of lines. It's I'm Rocky Balboa, use Beast perfume. And have a narrator, or a narrator does it. And Rocky says a few lines here and there. Yeah, that's right. You know it.
It's really ridiculous. He's wearing the caveman costume and he's got the club, and it's wow, okay.
Maybe another one where he's got like bad makeup on his face.
Oh yeah, like it was
And like
just
the
in a
boxing
fight.
ring.
Yeah. But he buys like the cool car. He buys the jacket with the tiger on it.
Yeah.
He buys like the collar for his dog and his matching bracelet for the dog.
Oh, it's just another collar. He's just
Yeah.
wearing it. I mean, out of all the things he splurged money on, that's like the least expensive stuff. It's like, oh, you bought a nice collar for your dog. Would you spend like $30 on that?
Yeah.
As opposed to like thousands on a car. They buy a house without even looking upstairs or getting it checked out.
Yeah, that's
Or
true.
haggling.
Yeah, they're like, what do you think? Yeah, it's good. Okay, let's buy it.
And Rocky has to deal with the reality of like he's what like tries to retire from boxing. He can't get a desk job. He can only do menial labor, and even that doesn't work out for him
Yeah.
because he got laid off after like 2 days.
Yeah, and it was just like something beyond his control. And there's also like an issue with like they're almost saying to Rocky like you can't fight anymore because you have like kind of like partial blindness in one of your eyes from the last fight.
Which never comes up after this movie again.
Yeah. I think that aspect of like Rocky having kind of like a disadvantage in this movie of like the partial blindness and needing to learn how to fight with his like other hand, like what like Mick says, it's like, you gotta fight the right way now instead of like being like a southpaw.
Was also a strategy.
Yeah.
You come into the fight fighting differently, you throw him off, and then you switch back, and he's like, oh god, what the where's the hands are coming from everywhere.
Yeah. I don't know. As this movie goes on, it's just like every time I watch like a Rocky movie, it's just like Rocky is such a likable character.
Yeah.
That scene with like the press conference is so great. Where like Apollo is just like talking shit, and then like Rocky's just like, he seems mad. Like,
Because I think maybe at this point he's also kind of like caught on to the fact that it's like he's just trying to goad me.
yeah. Yeah, like Apollo's like, I'm gonna beat him up, and then Rocky's just like, it's like, what do you think, Rocky? It's just like, he seems pretty mad. Like, and then like at the end when they're just like what do you think of Apollo? And like he's just like, oh, he's like the greatest. Like he's just like so genuine. He's like kind of like unintentionally like kind of just like above all this like trash talking. He's just him no matter what.
Even though it was the trash talking that kind of in part pushed him towards the fight,
Yeah.
though it was also his financial needs that made it necessary.
Yeah. It was like
Because Apollo, he's so desperate to get Rocky back in the ring to prove that it wasn't, that he didn't carry him, that he could beat him, they could take him down. Because it's like, he's getting attacked from every direction. It's like, ha, you suck. Balboa was the real winner. No, you suck. You carried that bum to a long fight. You're a fraud.
yeah, he's got all like the hate mail. He's got like the bags and stuff,
I remember watching that at one point and just like the kill yourself. I'm like, wow, nothing's changed. People are just telling famous people, kill yourself. You suck.
People just had to put more effort into it back then
had to-
by writing a letter and mailing it.
Yeah, they had to find an address, get a stamp.
Yeah.
Now they're just typing on their phone.
Yeah.
Lazy bums.
They all had return addresses. But it is pretty funny how it's just like things never seem to change, huh?
Yeah. We also got one of the few looks we had at Apollo's other kids, the mysterious other Creed siblings.
Yeah. Which, I guess like it's not until like the other movies maybe where you get to see a little bit more of his wife, because like she's like kind of just like barely in the movie. She's kind of like there, and I'm like, wow, it's weird because she's like a major character in the Creed movies, and it's
Yeah.
just like she's kind of just like there in these movies.
Yeah, she doesn't have a big role in these movies.
Yeah.
She never really did.
I mean, not even in Rocky 4?
Probably more than this,
Okay.
but only just because she's got to be there at the funeral and be like, Apollo, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even know if she's in 3. I don't remember.
It is interesting, though. It's also like we get to see like more like this time we see Apollo actually like training.
Yeah,
And-
because he's taking the fight seriously this time.
Yeah.
Because he didn't take it seriously the first time. Heck, when he comes out to the fight, he doesn't come out with pomp and circumstance. He just comes out. He's like, I'm here to fight you.
Yeah.
I'm here to kill you.
I like also like the contrast between Rocky's training and Apollo's training, because Rocky he has like more unconventional training, but he's like training somewhere like dirty and
Yeah.
like everything. Mick's like chase the chicken.
Yeah.
But then we see like Apollo's training, and he's in this like super nice gym with like these like I don't know like Greek like columns and stuff like around, and it's like
Which does eventually get contrasted in Rocky 3 when it's the switch, where Rocky is initially in like the big fancy place, and you got Clubber Lang just hitting things in like an apartment.
yeah, it's almost like in a weird way, and it's probably not this, but just seeing like all like the fancy architecture with Apollo, and then Rocky just kind of being with the people. It's like a mortal challenging a god in a weird way.
Well, with the name Apollo.
Yeah, and I think like his like title is like something like the Master of Disaster or something.
Yeah.
So,
And he's supposed to be like the in-universe version of like Muhammad Ali. So he's supposed to be, this is the best of all time.
Yeah.
He is the man. Nobody's been better than him before.
Exactly. So yeah, it is like a mortal challenging a god.
Yeah, and Rocky's always been the everyman.
Exactly.
Until like Rocky 3 and 4, where he's Superman.
And he's a robot.
And then he gets back down to earth after that.
Yeah. Rocky's so likable as a character that it's just kind of like, yeah, he's like one of the all-time great like movie characters that you remember,
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
no matter what,
Absolutely.
And we get the dramatic stuff with like Adrian kind of being like, I don't really want you to fight. Yet Rocky kind of struggling with like he has to make money. There's no other way he can make money. He kind of like feels a little insecure when Adrian is just like, oh, I'll go back and like work at the pet shop, and it's like the 70s still, so it's just like oh, my wife has to work to like support us too. It's just like, what kind of man am I? That like different type of culture back then.
There's also just the element of like, this is all I can do.
Yeah.
Please just let me do it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like the whole, scene with like the baby and,
Yeah.
Adrian being in a coma.
Yeah. And Rocky doesn't even want to see the baby. He's like, we'll see him together.
Yeah. And I do like how, like, that whole scene, we've got like Mick kind of like, kind of chewing him out through his like training, because like, Mick's like, your head's not in it, because like Adrian is kind of against him fighting, but then Adrian is in a coma, and Mick actually like kind of just like steps up and like doesn't really say anything, but like he's there in all those scenes where like Rocky's in the hospital and Rocky's in the chapel and stuff. Like he's with him the whole time.
Well, he tells him, it's like, look, if you're going to throw it, I'll throw it with you. He just tells him, he's like, look, I'm going to be with you. I'll be here with you. And he's true to his word. He stays there with him. Sits in the chapel with him. Sits in the hospital room with him.
Yeah, it's like a really good moment, like for kind of like proving like, yeah, Mick's not as much of an asshole as like you may think he is.
It shows that more than not, he does care about Rocky. And we see that throughout the movie, like when Rocky's resorted to coming to work for Mick in the gym. Mick is trying to preserve his like dignities, making him doesn't want him to do like the grabbing the spit buckets or whatever. He's like, oh, I don't want these guys to like mock you and treat you like crap because I like you, Rocky.
Yeah.
But Rocky, he doesn't, he doesn't care until like it does start to get to him a little bit. But he's like a lenient guy. I'll do whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
But, people being an asshole to you, it does get to you.
Oh yeah. Like there's the scene with the guys like around the car like talking shit about him when he's walking with like Adrian.
Yeah. Plus, doesn't help that Apollo's on the press being like, "Chicken Stallion, coward, you suck. Why are you afraid of me?
Yeah.
Come out, fight me."
Yeah, he's like obsessed.
He is obsessed. He is very much a man obsessed, to the point where his press people or whatever are just like, you're setting yourself up to be the bad guy in this, and he's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
One of my favorite little moments in the movie is when his trainer Duke comes up to him, is like, try to add a earshot of like the other management people. It's like, dude, this guy, you hit him harder than I've ever seen you hit anyone. You beat him harder than I've ever seen you beat anyone, and he still kept coming after you.
Yeah.
He's just like, because he just knows, it's like, I don't think you can beat this guy. And he screams at Apollo, "You're winning on points. Don't try to knock him out."
Yeah.
Because he knows, it's like, this guy, he's coming for you, man. You don't have it.
Yeah.
He has it right now.
Yeah, Apollo wants that definitive KO victory
Yeah.
over Rocky. Even says I'll beat him in the first 2 rounds and stuff like that.
And he comes at him pretty quick, and
I
that
mean,
knocks him down a couple times, but just wasn't enough.
it is pretty insane how when that fight does finally happen in the movie, it's man, Rocky gets punched in the face so many times.
Rocky's never been much of a blocker.
No.
Heck, it's not even until Rocky 3 that he learns to really bob and weave a lot better.
Yeah. Because, even Mick says to him, you're a tank, and he just, takes, every hit from Apollo.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane how many times he gets punched in the face. It's realistically, it's I think that guy probably would have gone down being punched in the face that many times.
I mean, that's the movie aspect
Yeah.
of it.
Oh, yeah.
You look at real boxing matches, you see the punches get thrown, you just see a guy just fall down. It's is he dead?
That's true. Oh, man. But
A lot more blocking and ducking in real boxing, I imagine.
yeah, definitely a lot more blocking, for sure.
Well, there's a moment I always kind of thought about in the big training montage when they repeat the running up the steps, except this time he's flanked by thousands of children.
Yeah.
All the local cities, and I always kind of thought it always kind of dawned on me, oh, okay, this is what cemented him in the minds of the people of Philadelphia as an icon.
Yeah.
He became notable for the first fight, but he became a legend with the second fight.
Yeah.
And in universe, you could argue that the statue that gets built of him, it's there because of the moment in Rocky 2 of him running up the steps with the children of Philadelphia flanking him and all the people of Philadelphia he's running past cheering him on. That is why the statue's there, because that happened and then he won.
Yeah, exactly.
He became firmly the man of the people and forever beloved by the city of Philadelphia within the universe of the Rocky franchise.
Yeah.
Even as an old man running a restaurant, everyone around him was like, Rocky! Yo, Rocky! Champ! That love persists across decades.
Yeah. I guess there's even that factor of the fight's gonna be at a big arena, and they ask Rocky what do you think? And he's just yeah, it's 10 minutes away from my house,
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, that is pretty great, especially when he's late.
Yeah. You have to get that one last prayer in.
Yeah, seriously.
Also, I guess he has super old school Catholic wedding where the priest, I guess, is talking Latin the whole time.
But that guy barely speaks any English.
Yeah, I don't know if that's Latin or Italian or what.
Some of it's definitely Italian.
Yeah, because I'm he's Catholic, so I guess he's talking Latin.
I mean, there was a point, and I don't know when it stopped, but Catholic masses were only done in Latin.
Yeah.
I don't know when it switched over. I've always heard that, though.
Yeah. So, it's interesting, all that, history.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess, we get into, the fight after Rocky kind of goes through his training. I should mention that one part where Mick's trying to teach him how to punch with his right hand, and he has his left hand tied to his side, and then
makes sense.
And Mick's kind of if you keep moving it, I'll chop it off. I just love that angry old man
You're gonna eat lightning, you're gonna crap thunder.
You're a bum type of attitude Mick has.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a moment during I think it's earlier in the fight, which I find kind of interesting because they call back to it in Creed 2, where Duke is careful, he's dangerous, and Apollo's I'm dangerous. And a similar exchange happens in Creed 2.
Yeah.
It's he's dangerous, I'm dangerous. And both times, both those Creeds lost that fight.
Yeah, it's interesting because, for the most part, Apollo is kind of dominating Rocky for most of the fight.
That's Rocky's thing a lot of times. It's you hit me, but I'm still standing.
Yeah. And, I guess it goes to, the fact that, Apollo desperately wants to knock him out and just sort of kind of gasses himself out at the end, and then that's when Rocky finally takes the advantage.
Well, Rocky also did do the switch,
Yeah.
going back to Southpaw, and did just start pummeling the crap out of Apollo.
Yeah, that is true. He gets a lot of like body shots and everything. And
Yeah. Of course, they have the dramatic, they both fall down and Rocky scramble to get up.
Yeah. I guess like that whole moment of, you know, them falling down in the count, because I've seen that in like other things, and I'm guessing that this movie is the one that like did that first.
It's possible.
Because like,
I mean, there was boxing movies before Rocky, but I don't. Rocky's so more
Well,
famous and influential.
I don't know, to take this back to something like in Dragon Ball, there's a very famous scene in the World Martial Arts Tournament where Goku and Tien kind of knock each other out, and there's a count to 10, and whoever gets up first and says, I'm the winner, you know, wins the match. And it's like, I'm like, did Dragon Ball get that from Rocky too? Like,
Probably.
yeah, because I was just like, holy shit, like, this is another, like, trope I've seen in, like, you know, beyond, like, just movies, but in, like, anime and stuff that must have come from this movie made in the 70s, you know?
Potentially.
It was just kind of, like, mind-blowing when you watch these things, and then you're like, wow.
I mean, the influence of the Rocky franchise is pretty far-reaching.
Oh, yeah.
You know? It's an iconic film franchise.
Yeah,
It's been spanning decades.
exactly. But just to see, like, you know, stuff like that, it's just like, man, it's, like, influenced so many other, like, things. It's insane.
I mean, when it comes to making something that is sports-based, you could do worse than ripping off Rocky.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's the pinnacle of sports movies.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's great. And, you know, like we said, the final fight, you know, Rocky gets to his feet before Apollo and wins pretty much,
Yep.
you know, after,
Yo, Adrian, I did it.
yeah. And then I guess he's the champion now,
Yeah,
too.
he's the champ. He's got the belt.
Yeah.
And I must say, I don't understand this. Maybe it's just because I grew up watching wrestling, but why are boxing belts so ugly?
I was thinking more along the lines of, like, why is that boxing belt not on, like, a leather strap? It's, like, on this, like, cloth, like, I don't know.
I
like,
mean-
red, white, and blue thing.
You know, belts in the 70s, even in wrestling, none of them looked good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Even like in the Creed movies, I look at those belts and I'm like, man, those are hideous. And I look at like the UFC belts, which are obviously copying wrestling belts
Yeah.
in terms of the way they look, and it's like, see that's what a champion carries. I don't understand why boxing belts are so ugly.
I don't know.
Is it just tradition at this point? They can't get away from it.
I don't know. I didn't think it looked that ugly. I would say like the ugliest part about it was like the weird like red, white, and blue like sash, and then like the gold plates over it.
I'm more forgiving of the belts like from this era.
Yeah.
But then I look at like the Creed movies and I'm like, they're still that ugly. Why are they still ugly?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's just a thought I had while watching it last night.
So we need a cool belt with like a spinner.
No!
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I'm just saying, wrestling belts sometimes are pretty ugly too.
Oh, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of ugly wrestling belts, but some nice ones too.
Yeah. But I guess we can all agree that spinner belt was like pretty dope, right? Okay. Why did they do that?
It made sense at the time when John Cena had a rap gimmick.
Yeah.
But then once that went away, that should have also went away.
Yeah.
It didn't.
No, it did not.
It's been out for 10 years.
Well,
Whatever. Rocky.
yeah, Rocky 2. It's like
I-
a perfect follow-up to Rocky 1.
It's definitely better than probably some people would remember, because I think some people dismiss it as just, oh, it's just more of the same. It's fallen to that classic sequel trap of doing the same thing. And the only thing it does the same is Rocky is the same opponent. The
Yeah.
story is completely different. It kind of it shows the consequences of the first movie, getting super famous super quickly, and how that could quickly fall apart.
Yeah.
Which might have happened for Stallone after the initial success of Rocky, and then he had to go make Rocky 2.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that. I wonder if there were like some real life like parallels.
There might have been. There's
with
usually a lot
this.
of parallels with the Rocky franchise and
Yeah.
Stallone's real life.
You know, because like Rocky was like a bona fide like mega hit.
Yeah.
This movie did come out a little bit later than I originally thought it did, because like, you know, original Rocky's 1976 and this was 1979, so it's not that much later, but you know, it's not like the year after was Rocky 2 or something, you know. But that's probably why it's so good, is, you know, there's some time to like think about like what happens next and everything, you know. But overall, yeah, it's weird because it's like original Rocky is great and this movie is also great. So
I mean, there's not a lot of lull in the Rocky franchise.
yeah,
I think the next one, Rocky 3, is also, it's a little more cartoonish, but I think it's still pretty strong. Rocky 4 is kind of just ridiculous, but it's fun. Rocky 5 is kind of weird.
yeah,
You got Rocky Balboa, which is great again, and the Creed movies, which have all been really good.
yeah,
It's just a consistent series.
yeah,
It's the number, you know, there's not that many in the grand scheme of franchises, and it's been spread out from the 1970s till now, but
yeah.
there's been a relatively decent quality control. You had that weird 80s lull, but, you know, it's moved away from that. But also the 80s were bombastic and ridiculous in places, so
Yeah.
I guess the Rocky movies reflected that.
Yeah, and also I guess like at least with this one and like the previous one, you know, at least right now at this point in these movies, they still kind of feel like timeless. There's nothing like weird that like makes you immediately like taken out of the movie where like it's like, oh, whoa, that's like a weird 1970s like thing.
Yeah, there's no disco music.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing really pop culture that makes you go, what? There's no like world events like the Cold War that seep into the movie. It's just these people and their lives.
Yeah.
And that's great. These are great characters. And yo, Paulie, good job. You worked out in this movie. You got slim.
Yeah, he did. It was pretty good, even though he was eating that snow cone.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think he ate a few too many snow coats because I think he's big again by the third one.
Oh, man. Yeah, they even mentioned it where it's just like, Paulie, look good. Like,
I mean, the warranted acknowledgement considering he was probably a little bit in the previous movie.
yeah.
And it's like, I think we, after like the opening scene, it's like a month later, or maybe after he's out of the hospital, at least a few weeks. So
Yeah.
Paulie had time to slim down a bit.
Yeah, how long does it take a broken face to heal?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's break your face and find out.
No. Not that.
Okay, fine.
But anyway, Rocky 2, go watch it. And I guess that's the Out of Touch podcast for this week. Podcast over?
You always say that.
I don't know how to end this.
You say goodnight.
Good night, everybody.
It's too late. They're gone. You scared them away. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, yet I'm not.
Aye.
Hey, I said, where the hell you going? Talking to myself or something.